The first thing Princess Alira noticed was the smell, ozone. The scent of something alive inside. Something supposed to be dead. Deep beneath the jeweled floors of the palace where no noble bothered to walk, she found a human mechanic crouched inside the broken chest of an ancient war engine. His sleeves rolled up, his hands black with grease. His expression calm, as if an invading fleet was not chewing through the empire overhead. When her guards leveled rifles at him, he did not flinch. He only pointed a wrench toward a wall of dead relays and said, "Shoot me if you want. But your western shield goes dark in 6 hours." Above them, the palace trembled with bombardment. And for the first time in weeks, Alira heard a voice certain than fear. Sometimes the Empire's last hope is not a general, but a stranger under a machine. His name was Elias Venn, human civilian contractor. Officially missing since the day the Car Dominion broke the Third Fleet over the northern rings, the court assumed he had run. The truth was smaller and far more dangerous. He had gone into the basement because that was where the real Empire lived. Not in the throne room, not in halls of silk and crystal, but in buried arteries of power, in old reactors, forgotten circuits, reserve foundries, and emergency dock controls no aristocrat had touched in generations. As Alira followed him through the lower levels, Elias explained the disaster with insulting simplicity. The fleet was not losing because the enemy was unstoppable. It was losing because the Empire had decorated its war machine into stupidity. Targeting commands were being routed through ceremonial palace cores. Shield relays were linked to obsolete display systems. Reserve carriers kept failing because noble efficiency councils had approved elegant modifications that no engineer would survive laughing at. Every few steps, Elias kicked open another access panel, stripped a line, bypassed a lock, or woke a dead console with a spark and a curse. And one by one, systems buried by arrogance came back online. Lights returned to tunnels. Tactical screens flickered awake. Ventilation fans roared. Alira realized the basement was not hiding ruins. It was hiding teeth. This is where kingdoms survive. In the dark, in the grease, in the parts no one sings about by dawn. Elias had rebuilt the palace defense net into something brutally honest. He cut ornamental loops, hardwired shield relays, reactivated the sub-basement foundries, pushed repair orders directly to the moon docks without waiting for a single ministerial seal. When the Lord Marshal objected, Elias handed him a cracked coolant valve and asked which side faced the reactor. The old commander had no answer. Alira did. Because she had stayed and watched and learned. That same morning, the car launched another strike. Sleek destroyers knifing down through cloud toward the capital. For 6 terrible weeks, such attacks had meant panic, delay, and burning wreckage. This time the batteries fired first. This time, the shield wall held. This time, reserve frigates rose from dock with clean engine flow and targeting solutions already loaded. 6 car destroyers died over the capital before they got within range, their broken hulls falling into the sea like red stars. It was not a miracle, it was maintenance. And somehow, that frightened the enemy more. Because miracles are rare, but competence can spread. That was the day the fleet stopped praying and started fixing things. Elias moved through the war effort like a human disease the old system could not resist. 1 week in the royal docks, 1 week in the carrier bays, 1 week inside shattered shipyards where half-dead cruisers waited for permission to become scrap. He refused titles, ignored etiquette, insulted admirals, and taught technicians to value ugly reliability over elegant nonsense. Soon ships that should have exploded came home limping instead. Gunners hit what they aimed at, reloads sped up, heat bleeds stabilized, and pilots began asking before every launch, did the humans sign off on this? The nobles mocked his welds and patchwork. Until those same crude modifications started saving bloodlines. Battle by battle, the Imperial fleet changed shape. Less beautiful, more lethal, Princess Alira changed with it too. She stopped listening to courtiers and began sitting beside engineers, learning pressure, torque, load, and burn. So when the car regrouped at the shattered spine, a graveyard of broken moons where their carriers hid behind drifting metal and gravity distortions, and the admirals argued for another glorious retreat, she looked not to pedigree. But to the man with grease on his jaw and a ration tin in his hand, he did not look like victory, which was exactly why victory trusted him. Elias studied the tactical sphere for less than a minute, then said the thing that changed the war. The car carriers still vented waste heat through their lower spines when masking signature, an old design habit from their earliest hulls. Hit the cooling lattice first, not the armor. Send the Fourth Fleet beneath the debris shadow, run dark, override safeties, close hard, and punch them in the throat before they know they've been found. The room went quiet because every admiral understood the same shame at once. The enemy's weakness had always been there, but only someone willing to think like a mechanic had seen it. Alira gave the order. The Fourth entered the spine cold and silent, drifting between moon shards while decoys burned above, then erupted upward beneath the car line and shredded the ventral cooling grids with precision fire. Carrier by carrier, the masking fields failed, hulls overheated, formations broke, and the rest of the Imperial fleet came roaring in through the gap like vengeance finally remembering its own name, before the day ended. 2 enemy carriers were dead, 1 was captured, and the car flagship turned to run. Across every fleet channel came the same amazed shout. Half laughter, half worship, the human was right. Later, while the palace celebrated admirals and banners, Alira went back to the basement and found Elias where she had first found him, knee-deep in machinery, fixing a scorched relay. She asked why he had stayed, why a human mechanic had chosen a dying empire over his own safety. He tightened the final bolt and answered without looking up, because your people still had fight in them. They just forgot wars are won down here first. Then he tapped the engine casing beside him. And above them, the fleet that had been losing learned a human lesson. Pride builds monuments, but hands win wars.